For the last 2 years, we've been caring for our little piece of native woodland in Central Portugal, protecting tiny saplings, removing invasive species, and creating habitats for wildlife to flourish.
Today we're in the native woodland area. We call this space the cork oak forest because the largest trees here are the 6 large mature cork oaks which can be harvested for their cork. We have chestnuts, walnuts, and we also now have a hawthorn which we are encouraging. We also have many smaller cork oaks which are beginning to grow and beginning to mature. We're clearing around these trees to give them space to grow and mature into big full-sized cork oaks. Last year Mairead did some work on a little cork oak just over here. So we're going to go and have a look and see how it's been doing after a year of growth.
Well, here's the little cork oak, almost a year on, and it's starting to develop actual cork in the bark now. It's now this height in relation to me. I think it was about this height last year, so it's grown about ½ meter, and it's doing very well. Last year I cut back a lot of the gorse that was growing around it because it was kind of smothered. But this year I'm going to leave the gorse because the gorse will give it natural protection against the deer. The goats don't come this way, but the deer definitely do. I've got a handful of hawthorn berries that I collected from a neighbour's hawthorn tree, and I'm going to plant these in here as well to see if we can add another bit of diversity into the area. So how do I plant hawthorn seeds? Well, like this. And we'll just wait and see if anything develops, because in their native environment they just fall into the leaf mould on the ground and take root on their own.
This is a dead cork oak which we're not allowed to cut down. Cork oaks are a protected species in Portugal. You're not allowed to cut them down dead or alive. You can get permission to take them down, but we've been leaving this one because we think it's quite stately and beautiful. Let's go and have a look at the dead cork oak, which is just up here. So last year this tree was 10 foot high. It was a dead cork, it was obviously dead, and over the winter it fell down. But yeah, this tree is died, it is crumbling away. If you look in the video from last year, you can see when I lean on it, it trembles. It was obviously close to falling down. We were very sad to see this cork oak fall. It was a rather statuesque and stunning part of the landscape. The fallen cork oak provides a habitat for many different species of insects, small animals and creatures. Right next to here we have a madroño or strawberry fruit tree, which is a very important tree here. It has berries which are edible and is commonly made into a spirit here, an aguardent. It provides a lot of food for the birds and a low canopy in the forest. Last year we cleared around this space because there was a few cork oaks and oak trees. There's the cork oak over there that is growing very well. Lower down here we have some smaller ones. There's a smaller one down here which is already getting smothered by the mimosa growing up around it. We need to come back through here and take away more of these small mimosas to allow space for this cork oak to grow up strong. Mimosa is a very fast growing pioneer species. It grows 2 or 3 meters in a year. And actually I think some of these have grown more than that. The mimosa does have its benefits and its uses. It fixes nitrogen into the soil. It's holding the soil together here as well. This is a very steep part of our land. And if we cut everything down here, we're likely to get pretty heavy erosion of the soil. So we are keeping some mimosas and slowly clearing around the trees that we actually want to keep. We created a path through the cork forest the first year we were here. This is so that we keep to the path, we have a nice easy access through here, and we don't trample on the small trees. So we're going to go back onto the path now. We're on the bottom edge of our land here. We have a lot of mimosa growing here, which we are slowly clearing. However, our neighbour did a big clearing of mimosa and pine trees recently, which is allowing a huge amount more light into this area. Hopefully this is going to allow the few native species that are slowly establishing here enough light to grow. This oak tree is on the border of our land. Over here was all mimosa. That was thick with mimosa. You couldn't see the sky through there, but now we can see through there. Light is coming in and allowing some of these trees to grow. Over here we've got a small oak sapling which we've been protecting and clearing around. Last year we put a little blue bit of plastic on it so that we could see this tree in the winter when there were no leaves on it, and we didn't accidentally cut it down. A little further over here we have a chestnut tree. It's the only chestnut tree in this area. This chestnut is looking fantastic this year. It has grown a lot more with the light that is coming in here. We do need to clear a bit more of the trees that are growing over the top of it so that it can carry on growing upwards. Behind me is an absolute thicket of mimosa. Right down at my feet there's a tiny little oak sapling starting to grow. Look at this one. Hopefully this one will grow up and take over the space from this mimosa right here. The mimosa forest here grows very fast and spindly, and then some of them, they bend over, they get forced over, looking for space, looking for light, which makes it incredibly difficult to get in through here and clear it. We're only 2 people managing this land, and it takes quite a bit of effort and time to cut the mimosa. Not only cutting a tree down doesn't take very long, but clearing it and processing the waste from it does. That is very time consuming. And when you do cut them, half the time you can't get them down because they get stuck in other trees, and you've got to cut some more trees in order to get the first one actually down and on the ground. There's another YouTube channel not very far away from us called Project Camp, and they have 25 young fit people working on clearing mimosa. They're working towards regenerating the native forest in a similar manner to us, just on a much bigger scale with many more people. If you're interested, check out Project Camp and have a look at what they're doing. While the mimosa is an invasive species and we're cutting it down and trying to remove a lot of it, it has many uses. We're using it for firewood, for construction of borders and vegetable beds. We are wood chipping the smaller parts of it. We're using the wood chip as a mulch all over the land. On the fringes and margins of our land, where we've cleared mimosa to allow a bit more light in, we can see seedlings of cork oak and regular oak starting to come back.
It's really hot out there, so we'll just have a quick drink before we carry on and show you the rest.
So we're going to take you down through the forest to an area which was completely cleared when we bought the property, or rather just before we bought the property. You couldn't get through this space. It was a dense thicket of mimosa. So we'll walk down here and show you what it's like now. Down here is where the wild boar and the deer have been scratching around in the ground. They're after the acorns which drop from all the oak trees just here. Hopefully this is where the wild boar and the deer will stay, eating the acorns that they so like to eat, and they will avoid eating our vegetables. This whole space here was completely cut to the ground. It was thick with mimosas. You could hardly walk through this space. In the first year, it made dealing and working around here very difficult because there was still all the fallen trees. We had to clear the fallen trees before we could even safely walk around in this space. I'm trimming this space once or twice a year, but trying to leave behind the oak trees and native species that we want to grow up. You can see how much these trees have grown in just 2 years. We're going to carry on planting more native species in this area. 2 years ago, we planted a native pine tree just over here. Last year, it was ringed by an animal. We've been doing some research into how to protect these small trees. We're testing different ways of protecting small trees. We've put wire cages around trees, and we have another solution to protecting native trees or small trees, and we're going to show you that in another video. Let's go and look at the little cork oak we protected with a wire cage earlier on this year.
Never really know what's going on. Look at me sometimes like all you want to do is run. Hear me out, hear me out. It's all the things you never show. There are the things I want to know. Secrets start in your heart so slow. But if you don't want to tell me now, I guess I'll never know. Losing almost all my energy. It's getting hard to talk to you, and I'm the only one who speaks. It's all the things you never show.
So this is the little cork oak, and it was this high when we bought the property 2 years ago, and it's still the same height because every week the goats come along and nibble the top, nibble the new growth. So earlier on this year we put this cage around it in order to stop the goats from eating the top of it all the time, and it has grown tremendously in height since then. We actually need to move the cage a bit higher to carry on protecting it. This is a great success story, protecting the only cork oak sapling on this side of our land.
Last Christmas, we had our friends come to stay and they helped us take down some of the non-native pines. And in doing so, there was a little bit of an accident. And one of the native madroños got whacked and knocked down. One of our lovely commentators. No.
Commenters. I don't have any commentators.
Right, one of our commenters said R.I.P. Madroño. So let's have a look and see what happened. Completely new growth, doing really well, and probably better than it was doing because now it's got light, that all the pines that were smothering it out are gone. So this particular section of the land is what we call the sort of the wild zone, and we only cut this once a year just before fire season. However, Dan created a little space around the madroño, and we found 1, 2, 3, 4, about 8 oak trees growing in a ring around this, and these are all going to be left, and Dan calls it the secret madroño garden. There's a lot of secret gardens in this place, but this is going to be beautiful, and I think another bench might be made from the leftover pines. Some years ago I was very lucky to have spent a few days with a man called John Stokes, who is the director of the Tree Council in the UK. So John Stokes is a very well respected author, botanist, zoologist and conservationist. He was involved in this oak coppice woodland that we used to live right next to. It was on our back door, and he explained how that very rare forest could be regenerated, and explained a lot of the importance of doing things in sections. I think it was 10 sections, and each year they would cut down one section of the land so that it went through a cycle of about 10 years, so that when you replanted native trees and allowed things to grow, things were grown in stages, and that the canopy levels were changing. So if you plant 500 trees in 1 year and never plant another tree, all the trees will grow up and be the same age at the same time and create the same surface or top level canopy, which doesn't really work best because naturally trees fall, drop their seedlings, and those seedlings grow in stages over different years. So what happened was, after this first section of land was cleared and the trees were taken out with draw horses and chains, there was a group of people that were not very happy at how all these trees were cut down and left to nothing. And it was kind of understandable because it was a very nice, cool, dark type of woodland. And the first year, the only thing that grew was brambles. So it looked awful. The second year, things changed. The second year, the bluebells appeared. And then people started to warm to the idea of how the regeneration took place. And that's the thing with regenerating something like a forest. It's not something that happens overnight. It's not like you can throw a few seeds down and see an instant change in your garden. It all takes time. So we hope that you're going to be here for the long haul to see how this native forest regenerates over the years, and hopefully we'll still be strong and enthusiastic as the trees, and you can watch the progress over time.
We hope you've enjoyed this video about our native forest, and we'll see you in the next video.